I'm talking about Gideon, Jephthah, Ruth, and Esther. These were underdogs. However, God used them to make a statement in history. Now, if we humans had the opportunity to sometimes act on behalf of God, there are certain men and women we would consider unfit as far as the purposes and counsel of the Lord is concerned. Today's episode is to encourage you to come out of every mud of nothingness and stand out to be the man and woman God sees you to be. Now, all throughout scripture, we see God using different kinds of people to accomplish his mighty deeds. Now, while some of these men and women had outstanding skills, like Daniel, who could interpret dreams and visions and had administrative skills, like David was skillful with a musical instrument, like Samson, who possessed supernatural strength, of course given to him by God. There were others who seemingly had nothing to show. In quote, they had no supernatural touch. However, God used both categories of people. I'm speaking to that believer who wants their life to count for the Lord. Even that unbeliever who is here to meet Jesus Christ and wants their life to count for the Lord, but feels unqualified and undignified. I have good news for you. These men and women felt more unqualified and more undignified, but God made a statement with their lives. God used them to accomplish mighty deeds. And I hope that we can take a consolation from the experiences and from their lives, and then be encouraged that God can still use us regardless. Ruth was a Moabite. She was outside the covenant of Israel. But when she decided to make the God of Israel her God, God showed her favor, becoming the wife of Boaz, who became the father of Obed, who became the father of Jesse, who became the father of David. God engrafted Ruth into the lineage of Jesus, something that was seemingly impossible as far as men were concerned. Esther was a captive. However, when the favor of God came upon her, God used her for a rescue mission that would have annihilated the Jews because of Haman's plot against them. God anointed her to become royalty, whereas there wasn't any royalty in her background. Gideon was one of a kind. He looked down upon himself so much so that he couldn't believe anything God told him. When God called him mighty man of valor, he didn't see himself in that light. Even when God had gave him convincing proof that he was with him, he still needed a last one, and even that he had to go with a servant to the camp of the Midianite to hear the dream of one of the enemies that Gideon was indeed going to be victorious over them. Jephthah was the son of a harlot. He was an outcast. His brethren gave him away. His brethren told him that you are not going to have an inheritance among us. However, when the appointed time came for God to use him, they went out and searched out for Jephthah and made him captain over the army of the Lord. And through him, God wrought mighty victory for Israel. I do not know how you see yourself, but I'm concerned about how God sees you. And God sees you as great. He sees you as mighty. He sees you as usable. His love has qualified you. His blood and his death has qualified you. And so God can use you. Do not look down upon yourself. God told Jeremiah, do not look down upon yourself because you are young. Paul told Timothy the same thing. Do not look down upon yourself in any way or in any kind. God can still use you. I hope today's episode was a blessing and we can take consolation from the lives of these men. And subscribe for more videos and more edification about the love of God towards you and myself, and so that we can also spread it to everyone that we meet today. God bless you and see you in the next one.